I was planning on kind of stepping back a little bit, but I think I'm not going to. Carlists have dropped, at least not at first, here into Guadalajara, a big deployment. And they're again launching an attack on Madrid. Basically, what I'm trying to see is if there's anything in the card play that changes the strategic decision making in the game. I'm not sure there is, but I'm beginning to see some interesting things in the card play that maybe I hadn't noticed before. So, for example, here we opened up with our political card because we're the Carlists, and if we win, we get to throw that in. But the defender has a pile of cards. And the choice of playing the aircraft, well, if I put this in my thing first, that's no good, but I probably actually want to play this first to look through the enemy's reserves and pick out their best card that I don't want deployed. But also, I don't want this sitting in my reserve. This is a lot of points. Unfortunately, though, if the enemy has an infantry, they can knock it out right away. So there's a lot of, factors to take into account in your card selection. And you might not be aware of all of them until you've played through the decks a couple of times. Anyway, I'll step back a little bit and just report on results unless I see something else particularly interesting. Well, this was the first defensive victory I think we've seen, in which case everything of the player, the facing player, gets destroyed in this particular case. If he had been the only person in the area, he wouldn't lose all the units. Now, does anything else happen from this? I don't think so. Yeah, so I was able to use my aircraft to wipe out the Carlist aircraft. And that leaves, this is the problem with hitting someone who has a big pile of cards. Madrid might not have been the best place to hit because this opponent had a lot of cards. And it means I don't get any movement for this turn unless I hit Madrid again now. Now that's going to be tough because I don't have many cards. But I think I can. I can recruit 2 units in any friendly town. I'm not sure I want to launch an attack. Maybe we want to go somewhere else. See, we hit him pretty hard. Barcelona is valuable. Why don't we start trying to move against there? And we will launch a card there, and that puts these guys. Now the thing is, I may have drained his best cards. That's the problem. No, I'm going to go for him because I think I hit his best cards. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to drop back here in Guadalajara, and we're going to drop this card in there. And he has a lot of cards, but not many. Not many good ones. So he'll put an infantry in place. We're going to throw the withdrawal in play. Withdrawal is really valuable. We'll hold on to it. Although, actually, the enemy can usually wipe it out. And now we just launch our attack. And the defender goes first. That's his advantage. Is an infantry, which isn't going to help him. It was a stupid move. Well, I kind of wanted to hold on to the muster. That's why. Once this deployed, this card may not be eliminated. So I've got 5 to 4. I win Madrid, which is what we wanted. 1, 2, 3, 4. We get to throw this into here. We had to fight again to be able to use that ability because we lost the first battle. This goes back in my hand. What do I gain? I gained 1 city, so I get 2 cards. And we're done. Unfortunately, I think I misaligned the colors here because I'm looking and these are the socialists who are going next, I think. I can't see these at all. I can't tell the difference between these two colors. I mean, one's a little darker, so I'm going to have to align them. So I think I put the anarchists taking the go last twice. Now, what I may have done was pick the counter. Yeah. I think I don't know what to do because I don't know if the anarchists maybe played a lot of points. They must have. I'm going to swap these because it doesn't make sense. Now, I hope I didn't draw two cards here. I probably did. Yeah, well, we'll go back. So that special ability got screwed up for me because I couldn't differentiate between these two colors. I think I drew my two cards, and I think I have a handful of shit for the socialists here, and I'm not sure what they can do. Madrid seems out of the question because the Carlists have a lot of cards, but the Requites here are kind of weak, so maybe I can pick on them and try to gain something. Things started out very, very violent on that first turn, but now it's getting tougher. So for example, here on the Requites, hey, I got one card left, what I have left after an auto draw, and two more cards, and this is what I've got to attack with. If I get a good draw, I can launch an attack. But if I don't get a good draw, and I got one here, I'm pretty sure, well, then it becomes harder. Now, on my side, I don't have troops anywhere because there's constant fighting for Madrid, and I can't regain Madrid easily. Which means I have to try to find some place where there's some gain to be made for an attack. I like the idea of trying to push into Barcelona. That's the next big victory point space. So I think that's what I'm going to aim for. But I've got to spend a big card to build troops. I am allowed to build here because I'm connected to two towns that are friendly. So I think I'll spend my good old elites to build up here and try to launch that attack. I managed with the Recates to take Lerida, and I had one remaining card. It's a pretty decent card. It might get wiped out initially if there's partisans or anything, but I figure, you know what, I'll take my shot because Barcelona is worth a lot of points. And when I draw what I hope is the right color, and I mean everything looks the same color, so it looks right? And the socialists still had a decent sized hand, but it was a handful of crap if you recall. Well, I still have a handful of crap. Now, if I play a card here, I deprive the attacker of the extra card for the unassisted, unopposed attack that happens immediately that allows his army to keep rolling. But on the other hand, I'm not sure. Basically, it comes out in the wash because either the attacker gets a card right away, which could allow him to keep attacking things, or or he gets a card at the end, an extra card at the end of the turn. That's the advanced rules and the effect of them. I'm not sure there's any real harm for me playing this card one way or the other. I don't particularly want to hold any of these. So I'm going to throw a defensive card. The attacker can only play one card, so he immediately passes, and that forces me to pass. But I slow his attack by playing this card, even though he's going to win in Barcelona. And we'll pump him into there. And that's worth 3 more. I hope I counted the 1. I often forget to do things like that. But you can see the nationalists are getting pretty close to the victory conditions at this point. So it's not going to last much longer. Now for cards, I get 2 plus 1 is 3 as my replenishment. So in a sense, the attack, as long as it succeeded, was a good move. If it doesn't succeed, it kind of wears out my hand a little bit. But I got something as good as hitting Madrid by hitting 2 of these towns. You can't always guarantee that, though. Your enemy's not always localized. This could be a scattering of all these different, and then I'm facing different cards from different people. And then there's this whole okay, maybe this guy's got a handful of crap, and maybe I've got indications of that. But if his hand runs out, now he's drawing at random, and I got no idea what he's got under there. So that, let's make sure the Requites don't have something I want it here. Each turn after turn order. Yeah, he didn't want to do this. Okay. And I have no idea about this. If this is their last card, they do not immediately draw another. They're supposed to draw another at some other point. If they get attacked, I guess they can't defend then. I have no idea. And I have no idea what effect that has on their ability to draw in any other circumstances. So that's kind of a rules ambiguity. Again, the initial rules worked fine, but they were very, very simple. We start adding some flavor to the game, and immediately the rules start to kind of fall apart. Here we're at the Phalange. Hey, what's their special? They have kind of a military special, don't they? No. Launching an attack from Merida into Sevilla, and the card game becomes a guessing game and nothing more than that in a way. So I play my big point card. Great. I'm facing an opponent with 2 cards. If he has a partisan in his hand, I'm screwed, right? Because he can wipe this out right away. If he doesn't, or he doesn't have an airplane or whatever that can strike my reserves, then what I want to do is I want to stop here because this is my biggest card. If he does have one, you know, my backup cards aren't that good at all. So I'm taking kind of a one-shot, let's see if I can get in. And it turns out I can. He can't play another card for this, so he turns up his march. I turn up my 5th column. Neither of us have any special military abilities. And we take Sevilla for 2. And you can see we're running in pretty easily. No reason to leave more forces at Merida. Avia here, I also reinforced. And this way I don't give him a free draw, and I get to decide, hey, do I want to keep pushing? Is there something else I want to do? Or do I want to throw some political in? And I know he's weak, but I don't see much point to taking this. There's a positional advantage, you know, in terms of reinforcing, but, you know, I can build troops here and move a stack in. It just costs me 1 troop. I have enough forces here as it is. I don't see much point. There's a definite advantage to going into Cordoba, but in terms of cutting these guys out of supply, that means they wouldn't be able to use, what is it, the military reticules, I think. They just get their points off of them. Right. So, you know, that would open up a lot of... Well, that's not true. These guys mutually supply each other. As long as you've got 1 unit next to you, you're in supply. So, it's hard to cut somebody off completely. So I think I'll just pause there and take my 2 cards for the turn and push that. Now, it looks like I'm not going to get victory here. This is going to move at least at most 1 more. But I put myself pretty damn close. The enemy, however, has 2 more actions. Could they get that many spaces? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, maybe 12 spaces if I concede the political victory. That's going to be pretty hard. But you can see it's going to be a quick game, and it's just going to be a race for who can take cities the most times. It's not necessarily easy to attack. So, for example, here I had to build forces in Ciudad Real and move them forward to launch an attack against Madrid. It's what I need to do. I need to try to gather as many points as I can. Well, it's had some good cards, a withdrawal and artillery. They stopped the attack out of Toledo, and that means these poor communists only get 1 card for their end turn because they didn't capture anything, and they generated no points over there. This is putting the communist or Republican side in a lot of trouble. They've got 1 more action, and they can see the nationalists have almost won the game. Have the nationalists almost won Spain? Not by a long shot. So that's kind of disturbing to me. I kind of like a game to reflect what the historical victory end is. And in this case, you know, yes, the war was over before all the fighting was done, but I don't really know if the war was over due to a few key victories early on. It doesn't feel like that was really the case. It feels more like, well, I guess what it is, what is meant to represent is, hey, you hit the political event, and that means, in this case, you know, the fascists and the Nazis are going to throw a lot of support in, so much that, you know, it's not going to become a full proxy war. The communists threw some in, and I guess if you know, win on the other side, it means a heavier Soviet or Western commitment to the war, which kind of keeps the Axis powers from really being able to commit in the same way. I'm not sure that makes sense. Certainly the Axis scared away the Western allies from committing too heavily into Spain, and the Soviets had their own problems. I feel like that has less to do, though, with some kind of political maneuvering and more to do with the events of the world, the unwillingness of the Western allies to get involved in Spain, really. In part because the communists were involved. In the hopeless causes stage here, after that successful defense, where this color, which is not this color, is over here, I could, of course, throw troops in, well, into here and launch another attack out of Toledo into Madrid, because the Carlists are low on cards. That may be my best solution still at this point. So I can drop a muster down. That'll get me, it gets me a 3. Put 2 in here, move into here. Political, we probably want to hold that. So I'm going to take my shot by playing my withdrawal card. The withdrawal card's tough. It can really completely foil what the enemy's attack is, like an attack on Madrid or whatever. Carlists have this. We could withdraw from Madrid, but we're gonna defend, and we get a card. Now, the anarchists are not going to continue the attack. They're just hoping they beat them on the first card. So our strength is 2 to 3 in Madrid. And we have a 6, and they have a 5. We've beaten them. Taken Madrid, which is worth 4 to us. We're going to throw this in the political in the hopes that we win it. We don't think we will. We get our 2 cards, which isn't a very strong defense. There are some of the nationalists who have 3 cards, which is a little richer. Flipping over here, let's see what we have. We had a 4 facing 6. So the nationalists get the pip in their direction. And you can see it's almost over. And now we have to look through all the powers to see if any have a bonus here. After drawing the card for winning the political, well, that'll help. Let's see. Each of ours gets an additional card. That's huge. I like that aspect of it, where it's not the movement of this that's important. It's the card draw that's the real value to this. But if you spend a bunch of cards on this and the other guy doesn't, that card draw may not be so valuable. Okay, after drawing a card for winning political, the Phalange may shuffle any number of production cards from the discard to the deck. I don't think I have any of those. I have not seen a production card yet in the game. Do I have any in my hand? Maybe that's these. Yeah, I don't have any in the game either. At all. So I don't know what they are. I'm kind of... Or maybe that's just cards. If that's what it is. But I don't think it is. I think cards are just cards. Yeah, there's no statement about production cards. So I'm assuming they're a special type of card that shows up. Okay, now we have to determine turn order. And only 3 people were in. The anarchists put a 4 in. That I think is the best that was put in. So now I gotta find the anarchists. They're this pinkish color. So they're gonna go first. Yeah, they're all pinkish color. Yeah, I know. Then these 2 are tied, so we randomize. The next one is the Carlists, who are the dark blue, almost black. And finally we have the Phalange, who are this kind of blue. These others randomize. And now we have some special abilities that take play here. Ability each turn after drawing cards. Oh, I keep forgetting to do this. I probably wanted to do that on my turn, but I can't remember when the communists went. I did it last time. Once per turn after winning an attack, highly trained in, after turn order, the Requites may discard a card to move their marker to the beginning of the turn order. I don't see a terrible advantage to that. I mean, I'd be able to attack Madrid, but so what? You know, I'm going to get that chance at some point. The whole turn goes by before the victory point marker goes. I just do not see much advantage to taking, to getting that initial shot on Madrid. The only danger that I see is that my enemy might be able to kind of create a shell around Madrid, making it hard to take the way that I had one. But as of right now, troops can be built here, here, and here on the nationalist side. So a significant force can be brought to bear against Madrid from the north. It's harder to attack from the south. This is the only safe place to attack from that you can build directly. Otherwise, you can build over here and move them, So I think we will not expend a card on that. There's no auto victory yet, and we go into the next turn. So here we are again. Now it's, I believe, the anarchists launching an attack on Avila. Why the big strong place that I'm hitting? Well, I'm hoping if I can get this, then maybe I can move against others with other forces. It's hard to tell though. I've got to pay attention to the ordering because nationalists could place in either of these. At the very least, I'm taking away a launching point if I win. Now my card for this is the infantry, which are awesome on attack in my view, except that they can be knocked out by partisans right away. So there's kind of the, okay, do I get to kill his card first, or do I get partisans? If he has an elite first, I don't get it. There's so much guessing game here that I don't even think there's a terribly effective amount of bluffing involved. Somebody brought forth that there's, a guessing game and a bluffing aspect to it, to the combat. But, other than the I feel confident that I can beat you projection, which may just be wrong because you don't know what each other, you don't know what's terribly likely. Infantry is a good choice for the attacker, and the attacker could be fairly confident playing an infantry as their first card. But the defender may have an elite as their first card, or obviously the partisans or whatever, but an elite as their first card is a good choice for them. On the other hand, it's possible that the attacker has some other card that counters things in their second hand of cards or whatever. And it's just all so intertwined, and it's not like you have any real strategic decision making or any real input into this process. You've got a hand of cards. Do you want to attack or not? If it's really lousy, maybe you don't. But maybe you do on that bluffing status. But as long as it's a reasonable hand of cards, which it probably is with a number of cards, like, you start with 2 free ones, right? I mean, this guy's doing it with 3 cards. Well, you got some shot, because I look at this, and his hand isn't terrible. So this is a great card, but its reticule says I need more in front. Do I want to waste one of these marches on it? The airlift looks like an absolutely useless card. Move one group of units up to 3 cities away. It's sort of a muster, but allowing you to shift around things. But it looks like kind of a bone of a card, and this is one of the newer Phalange cards. So I'm going to go with the march. And now it's on him. Now he's looking at, well, I might get knocked out with that first card. I've got to win this fight. So I'll play this second card here. And now he says, well, it's time for the armor. And now, do I want to throw a third card in? No. I kind of want to hold on to that. So now we get to open up. And we do not want to hit the armor first, so we put the march down. The infantry comes out, kills that. And this could go very differently under different circumstances. The armor comes out, kills the infantry. The infantry comes out, kills the armor. And oh look, the attack succeeds. Now how much do I want to move in is the question. Do I want to leave a strong defense in Madrid? Usually a number of pieces isn't that big a deal. As we gain 1 more space. I have a card I could launch another attack. Unfortunately, I'd be facing stronger opponents, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to push 1 unit into there. I grabbed the point for that already. And then I get 2 cards to defend Madrid with, which feels about as good as I can do. Okay, so the Carlists are in an interesting position here. I just played a muster, and I was going to play here and try to fight my way through to Madrid. But I don't think I can get to Madrid. So instead, I think I'm going to just play one of the 2 I got off of this, move down to here, and try and attack on Valencia. The reason is, the guy in Madrid has 3 cards. The guy in Valencia only has 2, and I think I can match 2 cards pretty well. And then I'm going to open up these spies, which are apparently the Carlists' best. There are sort of specialty cards from the new deck. Well, they don't seem terribly impressive to me. They can let you see all of an opponent. You know what? That's actually very useful. I'm going to use that to peek at his cards before I deploy my troops. And I see he's got crap. So yes, I am going to go for him. So I played one of these for effect. And now I get to launch one as my attack. That's a potent card. Oh, because you get to peek and see, hey, which guy do you want to hit? I would have loved to hit pink. Except he's only got 1 card, so I don't get to see his next card. It looked like a shitty card to me. There are no cards in political, so this is kind of scary. If I do a withdraw, I don't know what I gain from that. I think I've got to fight. We're too close anyway. That would push him over the edge if he wins. He's going to play this. We'll play a response. He's out of cards, so that's it. We get this, which we don't get to use. Now we get to deploy first. We have nothing terribly good here. So we'll deploy the election. he'll deploy the leader because that can't get hurt now, but chances are he would have hit him if he had something. And we again have an attacker victory. It's really hard because the attacker gets to choose the weakest of the players. In a two-player game, I guess that wouldn't happen as much, but you'd probably be able to still drain your opponent pretty easily. So we have the loss in Valencia. Carlists have an advantage in combat. I thought they did. After winning attack, they can put a card in the political. Oh yeah. Right in there. And that lets me pull into Valencia, where I get 2. The game's not over yet. It's not over until the victory determination phase, but as you can see, this can't be turned back. So we got a pretty good chance of winning. And now I get my cards for the turn, and it's only 2 because I only took 1 city. And that pushes us forward. And just have an interesting hand that I'm not quite sure what to do with. A couple of Navy cards. If I recall, Navy had a special effect here with sea lanes. Players can reveal all Navy and aircraft from their reserve, and if the defender reveals more, they can win. So I've got an attack on Tangier possible here, and I've got an attack on Santa Cruz possible. The guy in Santa Cruz has a lot more cards than the guy in Tangier, so that's more effective. Let's look at these sea lanes. So if I take this, neither of these would be in supply anymore by the modifications and escalation, which is kind of disturbing because it seems like there should be some possibility of sea supply. If you can sea supply islands, you should be able to sea supply these. Let's see how that's worded. Cities connected by sea lanes are not considered adjacent for purposes of recruitment or supply. Completely isolated island cities may be recruited at. Well, this is not an island city, and it would not be adjacent to anything, so these would be completely isolated. Which means if both sides have a foothold in Morocco, that means neither side has supply there. It's kind of weird. You also can't land here and try to expand from it, even though you've got a port and everything and you can supply this to some extent. You can't actually launch an attack from across the sea. That's disturbing, to tell you the truth. I could also launch an attack here. This is against the that's against this guy. He's only got 1 as well. That seems more effective because I'm cutting into the supplies here. So we'll go with that. So I'm allowed to muster with 3. Now to build here would cost me 2. So that's kind of goofy. So I will build my units here. I can't build in Seville. Then I'm going to airlift and fly up to 3 units. How many spaces? Up to 3 cities away. That's not going to get me there. Okay. I was thinking I would land here, but I'm not sure I'm going to do that now. Yeah, let me rethink this. Kind of duplicate that. Alternatively, I could have launched an attack over here, but this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to play the airlift first. Ship these into here. 1, 2, 3 away. Then I'm going to play the muster. That gives me 3. I build 2 here in Merida, and pull down into Sevilla. And now I'm going to launch my attack over to Cadiz. And I play a card. Now that's this guy. He's got 1 card. If I don't play it, I got a problem, so I'll play it. I get another card. Do I want to play another one? Well, could be a partisan. I hate giving him more cards, but yeah. He plays another one, gets another card. I'm not going to be able to use this for anything. And now, the defender gets to play first. He partisans. Actually, before that happens, we reveal our Navy cards. Hey, I've got Navy. I don't have Navy or Air. So that's destroyed. I get to play this. That's destroyed by the infantry. And what was my attack? My attack was 2 to 1, but he's at +3, so it's 2 to 4. I've been defeated. All I get is 1 card back. I lose my units, and that did not go well for me. The defender gets no bonus. He doesn't get to push me back or anything like that. And the socialists were able to increase Algador as well as Albacete, and preparing for an attack into Valencia. They've got a pretty heavy advantage there, and they're facing kind of crappy cards, these propaganda cards. They don't know that. Eliminate a deployed unit, there goes that. Then he gets another defense, another propaganda. Well, I can't eliminate the random from the reserve, but I've got 7-10 to, I'm sorry, 7-11 to 5-6. That's going to be a victory. 2 points for our side. The notable thing is we can't keep hitting Madrid because they didn't take it back. We'll move into Valencia, but now I'm out of cards. I spent maybe too much on that attack, and that's what's hard to determine. But on the other hand, there weren't many other places I could have launched another attack from. Maybe I could have hit Sevilla here. And now I've had a success of a city, so I get a card for that. And that's it over there. And it looks pretty clear to me we're not going to beat the nationalists out here. And so now the question is, well, can we pull them further? Can we pull another space here and maybe prevent the pale blue, the Roquetes, from being able to gain an extra victory point? Because I don't think we're going to be able to push 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points on that last player's turn. Fortunately, what the communists draw is a handful of cards that are good on combat, don't particularly help over here, and also don't give me a mustering. So it's not like I could, set up some forces here. This wouldn't be allowed. Here I'd be allowed to, but this is completely isolated. Those would cost $2 each. I have the Navy to help me get in there, but I could build here and sail over. But I don't have a lot of mustering capability here, which is painful. This 1 is worth enough to wipe out one of the points here. I need to build at least a unit. I'm just left with no good choices. Now the last player to go is the pale blue. He'd only have to get 1 point in here to defeat anything that I'd be able to swing there. So I think it's hopeless at this point. And I look to the communists and I see not much here. I could get a partisan which will help me defend. Yeah, I mean, I'd have to blow my whole hand to basically set up an attack against, say, Barcelona. I wouldn't necessarily have to use the guerrilla, but I'd have to use, say, the infantry to build 2 units somewhere. I don't know where. Even just if I build 1 and move 1, now I can attack, but it's at low odds. And the Navy is what I'd want to attack with coming from here. I really have no troops. I am going to just put these 2 in here and draw a card. And now I can use my special ability. Ooh, common turn 1. Ooh, that's kind of cool. I can discard the top card from my deck to search for a partisan card. Okay, let's see if I've got one here. You know, if I don't, yeah, I do. And that'll help me on the defensive, I think. I hope. And that's all she wrote here. And now I've got to hope to win this, and for pale blue, the Requetes with a big handful of cards, not to be able to gain 1 point. Man, that's not going to happen. Okay, and we're looking at what may be the last play of the turn. I've got a nice muster here. I've got these Legionnaires, which are kind of cool, because on the attack, if they're what I have, they can't be killed right away, so the defender has to count on killing my deployed units, and usually the defender's better at killing the reserves. This I'm not going to use for its special ability because I went so late in the turn, but it is 3 points. Funny, we haven't seen a reshuffle on any of the decks yet. Okay, so the question then becomes, what can I attack? Or do I just want to throw all my points into here and try to win that way? In terms of what I can attack, we've got some kind of nice options. We've got, well, we've got some bad options, actually. We've got the attack that we could launch against Madrid. But that's against this player with 3 cards and 3 units defending, crossing a river from there. Here, I could not build, so I'd have less units, so it works out as a wash. Same thing here. I could build here and attack the same guy who has 3 cards. These would be easier to take. They're 1 point each. But I think my best move is just dump everything into the political and take my 1 card and say, hey, I won the game, you know? And in fact, that's what we do here. Let's see if the Requetes. It may seem a little cheap, but let's see what we have here. We have 2 points here, and here we have 9. Yeah, we had them beat anyway. 13, 15. So the victory marker moves, I'm sorry, 1 more in our direction. And we've won the game. We could have made a more impressive victory by trying to take one of those spaces. I don't know if I'm missing something in this game, but I'm not seeing much to it beyond what sort of my play revealed. The only thing that I'm seeing is sort of this, hey, you're sitting there with a handful of cards and you don't know which opponent you can attack successfully, you know, and you're making this guessing games within guessing games as to which cards you want to throw down first, whether or not you want to attack a given opponent, stuff like that. And you know, it's like if you're playing rock, paper, scissors and you have a handful of rocks, paper, and scissors and you get to choose one or the other. Kind of reminds me of the Hannibal Rome versus Carthage battle system in that way, which never impressed me very much. It certainly sucks solitaire to do that, but it didn't please me particularly to play that kind of game not solitaire as well. So I don't know. Anyway, I'll load this up and I'll come back with a review.